She sat nervously by the window, the late afternoon sunlight glinting off the glass and spilling across her table in soft, golden lines. The cafe was the kind that smelled like comfort, freshly ground coffee, vanilla syrup, and something warm baking in the kitchen. Around her, couples talked in low voices, laptops clicked, and the gentle hum of jazz filled the air. Anna tried to appear calm, but her heart thudded in her chest with every second that passed. She checked her phone again. No new messages. Maybe he's not coming, she thought, her stomach twisting. She lifted the cup of cappuccino to her lips, taking a tiny sip just to have something to do. The coffee had long gone cold, but she didn't mind. Her reflection in the window caught her eye, and she sighed. She had spent an hour getting ready, straightening her hair, dabbing a little lipstick, choosing the one dress that still looked decent after years of wear. It was a soft blue cotton dress with a small tear near the hem, something she hoped he wouldn't notice. Her shoes were scuffed, her bag old, but she had done her best. After all, she didn't expect anything fancy. She just wanted to meet the man who had made her laugh through messages, who had remembered the smallest details about her. The bell above the door jingled. Anna looked up quickly, her pulse racing. A tall man stepped inside, his presence instantly commanding attention. He wore a tailored gray suit, his dark hair neatly combed, his wristwatch gleaming faintly under the cafe lights. For a moment, she thought he had walked into the wrong place. He looked like someone out of a magazine, not the kind of man who'd be meeting a woman like her. But then his eyes swept the room, and when they found hers, they softened. He smiled, a genuine, heart-stopping smile that made her forget to breathe. He walked toward her with easy confidence, his stride smooth and assured. "You must be Anna," he said, his voice warm and deep. She nodded, her words caught somewhere between awe and disbelief. "And you're Ryan, the one and only," he said, laughing softly as he took the seat across from her. For a moment, the noise of the cafe faded. It was just the two of them, sitting across a small table, two strangers who had somehow already shared pieces of their hearts through a screen, and now were seeing if those words could turn into something real. The first few minutes passed in a blur of small talk and nervous smiles. Anna's hands trembled slightly as she stirred her coffee, watching the tiny whirlpool of cream and sugar spin in her cup. She could feel his eyes on her, not in a judging way, but as though he was genuinely curious, studying her as if she were the most interesting person in the room. That thought alone made her cheeks flush. "So," he began, resting his chin lightly on his hand, "do you always pick cafes with the best sunlight, or was this just luck?" She laughed awkwardly, brushing a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "Luck, I think. I'm not really used to this." "Blind dates?" he asked, his tone teasing. "Blind dates. Fancy cafes. Talking to people who actually show up," she said with a small grin, surprising herself with her own boldness. He laughed softly, the sound rich and low. "Well, I'm glad I didn't disappoint." That laugh broke the tension like warm light through fog. Bit by bit, her shoulders relaxed. They talked about simple things, books, movies, favorite foods. He confessed that he couldn't cook to save his life, and she told him about how she burned pancakes the first time she tried making breakfast for her younger sister. They laughed until her stomach ached, and for the first time in a long while, she forgot about the worry that usually clung to her. When she asked what he did for a living, Ryan hesitated, then said casually, "I run a small company. Mostly tech stuff. Pretty boring, really." He waved a hand as if brushing off the topic, quickly redirecting the conversation back to her. Anna didn't press. She assumed small company meant something modest, maybe a startup or an office job. There was something about his humility that she liked. He didn't seem like one of those men who bragged. The waiter stopped by with a smile, offering dessert menus. Before she could say no, Ryan ordered 2 slices of chocolate cake. "You can't come to this cafe and not try it," he said. "It's their best." Anna laughed. "You've been here before, once," he admitted, "but not with anyone who made the place look this bright." She rolled her eyes, trying to hide the way her heart fluttered at his words. The conversation flowed easily after that, stretching on for hours. Outside, the sun began to dip behind the city skyline, casting a golden glow through the window. The hum of the cafe dimmed as people left, leaving only the two of them, still talking as if they'd known each other forever. When the waiter finally brought the check, the spell of warmth and laughter that had filled their little corner of the cafe began to waver. The small, leather-bound folder landed gently between them, but to Anna, it felt like a thunderclap. She glanced at it, then away, her heart starting to race again. For hours she had forgotten the world outside their table, forgotten her budget, her limitations, the quiet anxiety that usually accompanied any outing that cost money. But now, reality was back, staring at her from a piece of paper she was too afraid to open. Ryan seemed completely at ease, leaning back in his chair, still smiling. "That went by fast," he said lightly. "I didn't expect to talk this long." Anna forced a small smile, but her throat felt dry. She reached for the bill, trying to be polite. "I'll get my part," she murmured, flipping it open, and her heart sank. The number seemed to blur before her eyes. It wasn't extravagant for most people, perhaps, but for her, it was more than she could spare. She'd been saving every penny that week just to make rent and keep the lights on. Her fingers trembled as she opened her worn-out wallet. Inside, a few crumpled bills and some coins clinked weakly, a painful reminder of how tight things had become. "Maybe I can just pay for the coffee, or maybe he'll understand if I offer to transfer the rest later," she thought, panic creeping in. Ryan noticed her hesitation. "Hey," he said softly, "everything okay?" She looked up quickly, her face burning. I didn't realize it would be this much. I'm so sorry, I'll just pay for mine." "You can." But before she could finish, he gently reached across the table and rested his hand over hers. The touch was light but grounding, steadying her shaking fingers. His expression was calm, kind, completely unbothered. "Anna," he said in a low, soothing tone, "it's on me." She shook her head, mortified. "No, I can't let you do that. I didn't come here expecting." "I know," he interrupted gently. "And that's exactly why I want to." There was something in his eyes, something genuine, without a trace of pity. "I invited you, and honestly," he added with a small smile, "you made my afternoon better than any business meeting ever could." Anna blinked, unsure what to say. The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. He wasn't just being polite, he meant it. Slowly, she let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "Thank you," she whispered. He smiled. "You can thank me by agreeing to meet again." Her lips curved into a soft, uncertain smile. In that moment, the embarrassment faded, replaced by something lighter, something that felt a little like hope. As the waiter took the payment and walked away, Ryan leaned forward slightly. "Next time," he said playfully, "you can buy the coffee. I'll take care of the rest." She laughed quietly, the tension finally melting away. For the first time in years, she didn't feel small or ashamed. Instead, she felt seen, really seen, by a man who didn't seem to care what she could afford, only that she was there. As they stepped out of the cafe, the evening air greeted them with a cool, refreshing breeze. The sky had turned a deep shade of violet, scattered with the first glimmers of stars. Streetlights flickered to life one by one, casting warm pools of light on the cobblestone path. The faint sounds of the city surrounded them, the distant hum of cars, the laughter of strangers, and the soft music spilling from nearby shops. Anna hugged her thin cardigan tighter around herself, still feeling a mix of relief and disbelief. The evening had turned out so differently than she'd imagined. She had expected awkward silences and polite goodbyes, but instead, she'd spent hours laughing, forgetting her worries, and now walking beside a man who seemed almost too good to be true. Ryan walked quietly for a moment, hands in his pockets, his steps unhurried. "I hope the place wasn't too much," he said, glancing at her. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable." She smiled faintly, looking down at her shoes. "It wasn't the place," she said softly. "It's just, I'm not used to things like this. You know, nice cafes, long conversations that actually feel real." He chuckled gently. "Well, I'm not used to meeting someone who listens more than they talk." She laughed at that, glancing up at him. "I think that's because you're good at talking." "Maybe," he said with a grin. "But I liked hearing you talk more." They reached the corner where the street split. One way led toward the bus stop, the other to a line of expensive cars parked under dim streetlights. Anna stopped, suddenly feeling awkward again. She didn't want the evening to end, but she didn't know what to say. "This is me," she said, pointing toward the bus stop. "Thank you for everything." "Really?" Ryan nodded, his expression soft. "You don't have to thank me. I should be the one thanking you." "For what?" she asked, confused. "For reminding me that some things are worth more than meetings and deadlines," he said simply. "It's been a long time since I just talked with someone, without pretending to be anyone else." His honesty caught her off guard. She studied him for a moment, realizing there was something humble beneath his confident exterior, something lonely, even. "You're not what I expected," she said before she could stop herself. He smiled knowingly. "Neither are you." A quiet moment stretched between them, filled with the gentle sounds of the city. Then he took a small step closer, his voice low and sincere. "How about dinner next time? My treat again." She laughed softly, shaking her head. "You really don't give up, do you?" "Not when something feels right," he said. Her laughter faded into a shy smile. "Dinner, then, but only if I can at least pay for dessert." He chuckled. "Deal." As she turned to leave, he called after her, "I'll text you, Anna." She looked back once, her heart light for the first time in a long while. "I'll be waiting." As she boarded the bus and watched him disappear into the glow of the streetlights, she still didn't know who he really was, how powerful, how wealthy, how far his world was from hers. But somehow, none of it mattered. Because tonight, she hadn't met a CEO. She'd met a man who had looked at her like she was worth the world.